Now we will discuss about the electronic records for payment of taxation. Till now, whatever we have discussed, how to pay the GST, how to calculate, when to pay, by whom to pay. Now, what are the electronic media? There is a portal I have already mentioned you. There is a portal which has been introduced by the Government of India where we have to fill up the forms, Sahaj and Sugam forms. Now, there are electronic records for payment of the tax. What are the electronic records for payment of the tax? So there are, it is divided into three different parts, electronic record. So what it is, these are the following three records are there maintained under the GST. What are the records has been maintained under the GST? Number one, electronic liability register. So these are the record registers which has been recorded by the GST registered person, GST registered office, I can say. So the GST, Goods and Service Tax Authority, they prepared three different records, electronic records, portal which is known as. So it is what? Electronic liability register, number one. Number two, electronic credit ledger. And the number three is electronic cash ledger. So three different types of documents maintained by the electronic tax recorder. So according to them, there is a liability register, there is a credit ledger, there is a cash ledger. Nothing but these are ledger only. Manually, whatever the ledger we have to prepare, now it is there in the electronic media as a standard format, which can be used by uh, all the persons, which can be used by normal general public also. Fine, which is very easy to understand. So these are nothing, these are the ledgers only. These ledgers are, one is liability register, another is credit ledger, and the third one is cash ledger. So one by one, these three things I'm going to discuss with you. The first, let us see the first one, that is the electronic liability register. Second and third is ledger. These are the registered maintained by the tax authority. Whoever prepared the GST, whoever calculated it, they have to maintain the, first of all, this is the liability register. How much liability is there? From whom they are getting how much amount of money? Liability register means what? How much we need to pay, the payable amount. Fine. So in liability registers, it is maintained in form GST PMT. PMT means payment tax. Payment tax 01 for each registered taxable person. Whoever is taxable person, that name should be there in the register. So it is a register which shows the liable person who is liable to pay the tax. The name of all those liable person will be mentioned over there, which is there in the GST PMT. It is the payment tax. PMT means payment tax. 01, that is the register 1. Next, it shall be debited with all the liabilities of the registered person under the GST law. So that amount will be debited. Debited means deducted. That amount will be debited with all the amount deducted, debited. Fine, not the credited. When the amount is credited, the amount is deposited. When the amount is debited, it has been withdrawn. Fine. So here in the registered, this amount, whatever the amount the taxpayers has to pay, that has to be debited. It has to be credited when these liabilities are debited, either in electronic cash register or in electronic credit register. So whenever it has been paid, the amount will be credited. Till the time it has not been paid, it will be shown as debited amount. As soon as the amount has been paid by the person, it will be treated as a credited amount. So you have to be clear about that, what is debited, what is credited. Just for a single example, simple example. In the bank account, nowadays everybody is, nobody is ignored about it, everybody knows, everybody is concerned about it, that whenever the amount we paid from our account Immediately, one message we receive, your amount has been debited by so and so. What does it mean? That means your amount has been deducted. Okay, so you are not receiving that amount, you are paying that amount. And immediately somebody else, if they pay money to you, immediately after that we receive a message. If you notice, you will see what is the message given by the bank. Your amount has been credited by so and so amount. What has been credited? That means your amount is added. Added. Your amount has been deposited. Same case with here, the three cases are there in the electronic register. First of all, they have to mention the name of each and every taxpayers from whom they are liable to get the money. First of all, in the register, they have to debit all the amount. And once that liabilities has been credited, they have to credit all the amounts. Understood what I say? So this is all about the registered maintained by the GST authority, GST council for recording the GST payers list. This is known as what? Electronic liability register. All the liabilities will be recorded there. It is a recording register which is operated electronically, which is operated online. Next, the next is electronic credit ledger. One is debit ledger, another is credit ledger. Now, it shall be maintained in the form GST PMT2. That is by PMT1. Electronic register, it is in 01. Electronic credit ledger, it is in PMT2. It is prepared for each registered person, taxable person, who is eligible for input tax credit under the Act. Whoever is liable to pay the tax, it shall have to be mentioned. They mention all those names who are liable to pay the tax. This form shall be maintained on the common portal. Same as it is, it shall have to be mentioned there in the common portal. Every claim of ITC, that is input tax credit, any claim under this Act shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger. All the amounts, credited amounts, that is payable amount. Credited means it's a payable amount. All the payable amounts shall have to be there in the credit ledger, electronic credit ledger. All the payable amounts should be there. This is credit ledger. Same way, the debit ledger also is there, where just the vice versa, the opposite things will come. Let us see for the debit ledger now. This is credit. Debit ledger, just the vice versa. And after that, we need the cash ledger. One is credit we got, another we got cash ledger. Debit ledger, credit ledger, cash ledger. So what is the cash ledger now? In case of the credit, in spite of the cash, the amount is due, due to be paid, due to be received, due to be paid, credited, due to be received, debited. But in case of the cash ledger, everything we received on cash. Whatever we received on cash or paid or cash, that will be registered under the cash ledger, electronic cash ledger. Once again, the portal will be there. If anybody paid the amount, that shall have to be mentioned there, uploaded there. Once received the amount, that shall have to be uploaded there. Now, every deposit made towards the tax, interest, penalty, whatever it is, fee, any other amount, person who is paid, be credited to the electronic cash ledger. As I told you, whenever we receive the amount of money, we always receive the message, your amount has been credited. Same case with this portal also. If GST registered authority, if they received any amount of money by way of penalty, by way of fees, by way of tax, whatever it is, by way of interest, it shall have to be credited in the cash ledger. Fine. So it is not debited as because we have already received the amount. Once we receive the amount, it is always credited. Next, it is prescribed in the form GST PMT 05. First one was 01, second is 02, and the third this is 05. Fine. It shall be generated in the common portal. The same common thing in the common portal, it will be mentioned. It will be uploaded in the common portal. Debit in electronic cash ledger has been utilized for payment of dues. So whatever debited, if it is mentioned debited, that means if there is any dues which has to be paid by the GST authority to the outsider has to be debited. So in the portal of cash portal, we will get what we will get, either debited amount or credited amount. Fine. So if it is debited amount, that means there are certain dues which has to be paid by the GST authority. So it should be debited. And the credited amounts means what? Anything received by the GST authority, any amount in the form of fees, in the form of penalty, in the form of interest, in the form of GST, it shall have to be credited. So ultimately what we got? What are the electronic devices or what are the electronic portals has been used by the GST authority, GST council. We got only three different register or ledger. Number one, electronic register. Number two, electronic ledger for credit. Number three, electronic ledger for cash. Electronic ledger for credit, it may be debit ledger, it may be credit ledger. Debit ledger means we need to pay the amount of money. Credit ledger means we are supposed to get back the amount of money. Credited, debited. Remember these two terms. So, just an overview of all these three. Let us see. Electronic record for payment of taxation. Three things we got. Number one, we got electronic liability register. Number two, we got electronic credit ledger. And number three, credit ledger, it means the debit ledger we should not write as because they are liable to get the amount of money from the customer. GST, ultimately the meaning of what? They are supposed to get the money. Think from the point of view of the GST authority, GST council. They're supposed to get the money from the traders, the businessmen. And the very few amounts are of course there which has to be paid by them. Okay. So that is of course most of the times it takes place cash payment. So that is why mostly the debited amounts are there in the electronic cash register, not in the credit register. So this is the entire procedure, the mechanism of the GST tax payment, input tax payment. This is known as the mechanism as a whole. Okay, what to pay, how to pay, where to pay, how to pay, what is the device. So ultimately from with all these points we come to know that nowadays it is a very easy procedure to pay the tax and everything is there in the portal of the government or the Ministry of the Finance, and it is quite easy for each and everyone to pay the tax through the electronic media.